something new. Those pixels have some value, but your feet won't feed you true. You've been searching all night long. Aren't you tired of being alone? Won't you be my friend? I'll show you something you've never seen online. Just follow me. I'll give you something you won't find online.
It's perfect for us. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Cat in a Dog's World. I'm your host, Dave Nelson, and we're ready for another episode with Gary Martin. When we're colleagues in a group called the New Canaan Society, but Greg is Gary. Did I call you Greg?
You did. It's okay.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
I'm used to people calling me
He's
Jerry.
my old friend Gary. I mean Greg.
Yeah.
I mean Gary.
Mm-hmm.
But we're Gary is in a leadership position with the New Canaan Society and heading our meetings here. And we meet on Friday mornings at the very chic club room. Thank you, Chuck Surak.
Mm-hmm.
We meet at 7:15 for coffee, and then we kick the meeting off at 7:30, and everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about the New Canaan Society and about who Gary is. He's executive with GE for years and a long career with them, but a great leader,
Thank you.
family man. Hey, tell us about that.
Family?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really get into that. I think I mentioned in our last episode that my wife and I got engaged just before my senior year
That's right,
of college,
yeah.
but then we married a week after I graduated, and I started with GE the next week.
Wow.
And so we've been married now 57 years. We have 4 children. We did have, our first child was a stillborn. So we say we had 5.
Yeah.
We have 5 children.
Yeah.
And when we were talking a little bit about some of the difficulties that come our way in life, and that was one of those challenges for us. We were
No doubt.
We were 2 years into our marriage, looking forward to having kids, and just on that day we went into the hospital thinking we were going to bring home a baby girl. We didn't, and so that was a bit difficult getting through that, and it really, I think in so many ways, it required the strength of our faith. I mean, we had parents that were strong believers, and we were involved in a church, and that day at the hospital, our parents were there, our pastor of our church was there, and it just helped us to walk through that journey, and we've had others along the way too.
Of course.
But yeah, so 4 kids now that are grown, fully grown. In fact, total of 12 grandkids. 2 of our kids were divorced and remarried, and they gave us now 4 bonus grandkids, so it's really a total of 16. And last year we had our first great granddaughter, so we're excited for that.
Oh my goodness. And your wife's name is?
My wife's name is Kathy with a K. Yes.
Kathy with a K.
Yes, Kathy with a K.
Oh, okay. Not a C.
No.
Now, Kathy with a K and a Y?
Yes, yeah. Her name is not Kathleen or Catherine or anything. It's Kathy. It's Kathy. And it is kind of funny. I grew up in a family where I was the oldest of 5 kids, and my youngest sibling, my youngest sister, is 14 years younger than me, and her name is Kathy with a C. And so,
of course.
When we got married, she was just about 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, I guess. And
You're the oldest?
I'm the oldest, and so it was always funny. How do we differentiate between Kathy with the K and Kathy with the C? It started out with Big Kathy and Little Kathy, but they got to the point where they didn't like that too much, and so
How about Chatty Cathy?
yeah, well, we tried to stay away from that too. Yeah, yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. So that's a bit about our family. I mean,
That's great. And your mother lived to
yeah, my mother lived
What,
to be.
she just passed away
She
recently?
passed away in January of this year, and she was almost 101. She would have been 101 in February. So,
Oh,
so grateful for that. And she lived a great life. Had her memory was good all the way up to the end, which doesn't happen for a lot of us. But we were very thankful.
oh, that is so wonderful. Yeah. What a blessing. God has for us to be fathers and husbands. I mean, it is so great. Linda and I lost two children to
did you?
to miscarriage.
Yeah. I didn't-
My mother had a stillborn child also, a brother who I never met.
Yeah.
And they also lost a son, Buzzy, who would have been 5 years old in 2 months. He died on November 21st of 58 of leukemia. He was 4 years old.
Oh, that's too bad.
And I was born almost exactly a year to the day that I was born on November 26th, Thanksgiving Day of 59.
Yeah.
And so I never knew him either.
Yeah.
In fact, when Doug was on last week, I alluded to that, and I thought, you're like my big brother, Doug, which is really Doug Wood, that is.
Yeah.
Well, we've been blessed.
Yes.
And now we're blessed as colleagues in the New Canaan Society. And we were there together this morning, and I just got back into town, and so we haven't really had a chance to talk about what we're going to do on the show. But we did say, well, we want to cover this book. This is Excellence Wins.
Horst Schulze.
Horst Schulze.
Horst Schulze.
Horst.
Yeah.
Schulze. Not
Yep.
horse.
German guy.
The German guy. And it really is a wonderful book. The New Canaan Society is it's not a Bible study, but we read books together.
Yeah, we actually have a routine that we typically follow where we'll go through a book study, we'll read through a book, and then we'll follow that with a video series where we'll watch a series of videos from Right Now Media on some topic that seems to relate well with what we're all about. But then in the midst of all of that, once a month we do a personal testimony. We'll have somebody share.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in fact, we like to have men from our group who do that, but occasionally we'll have somebody come in from outside the group that can share with us. And so that's sort of the routine that we're on, that we follow.
Very good. And we take turns
Yes.
leading the discussion, which is very good. Become a lot better listener when you also are presenting.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
times
And,
you go,
and
okay.
it's always challenging, keeping on schedule. That's the hard part for somebody who's leading, to say, okay, we start at 7:30, but we're going to be done by 8:20, so we have time for prayer requests.
I know. I suck at
It's
that.
hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Anyway, in that way, it is a very unique group. And again, we'd love to invite you, men who find this interesting. Please come and visit with us. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
So this morning, you were leading the discussion, right?
Basically, Horst Schulze was leading the
Right.
discussion.
It was about.
Yeah, we're
and
doing listening to the audio version of the book.
Yeah, we listened to the audio version, which was great, and so and you loosened everybody up and broke the ice by telling a joke, which you often do. Well, somebody tells a joke
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Usually it's Dennis Hensley.
Yeah. Well, and back to the history a little bit, John Lassus, I think he probably told a joke every week. I think that was part of what he did as he led. And I never felt really gifted at doing that. And so sometimes I would ask others, sometimes we wouldn't do it. But this morning we did. So you want me to tell the story?
I would love to hear this joke. I'm sure you guys will love it too.
Yeah. So I ran across this. Actually, it was on Facebook. A friend of ours, a retired pastor, does a. I don't know if he does this every day, but he does it quite often, and he calls it "Smile a While." That's the title of his jokes that he tells. So the way this one goes, Walt. And I even said this morning, I said, Walt could be Gary, because a lot of what's in here I can relate to very well. Walt, late for work, became irate when the driver in the car ahead of him, he became irate with the driver in the car ahead of him because she failed to respond immediately when the light turned green. Totally engrossed in her cell phone conversation, the woman sat quietly as the light cycled through green and turned to red again. At that point, Walt rolled down his window while beating on his steering wheel and blowing his horn, and he began screaming at the top of his lungs at the lady. Suddenly, a policeman appeared beside Walt's car, ordered him out of the car, handcuffed him, placed him in the back seat of the patrol car, and drove him to the police station. 2 hours later, the arresting officer advised Walt he was free to go. Still fuming over the incident, Walt loudly announced, "I knew you couldn't arrest me for yelling in my own car, and you haven't heard the last of this." The officer quietly replied, "I didn't arrest you for shouting in your car. I was directly behind you at the light. I watched you scream at that lady while beating on your steering wheel, and I said to myself, what a jerk. But I can't arrest him for throwing a fit in his own car. However, then I noticed something that didn't make sense. There was a cross hanging from the rearview mirror, a bright yellow Choose Life license tag, a Jesus is Coming Soon bumper sticker, a church logo in the back window, and the fish symbol on your trunk. I figured you must have stolen that car."
Oh my goodness.
Funny story. So I relate to it because there are times I get very upset with people and the way they drive or do stupid things when they're driving, and I probably do much of the same thing.
That is funny. I just got a neat little car that I'm really enjoying, and it's a notable. It's a little two-seater convertible, and it's just a blast. But I had it logoed. And now everybody knows it's
careful.
me. So
Yep.
if I cut you off this morning, I am very sorry. If my music's too loud,
Yeah.
I'll try to be mindful of that. But this is an excellent book. Doesn't have any scripture in it, but there's the truth about it is this guy Horst turned the Hilton hotel chain around into the realm of excellence.
And really, it's Ritz-Carlton hotels.
Oh, it's Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah, that's what he founded. But he worked for Hilton and some others, and then after Ritz-Carlton, he started another hotel chain as well. And all of a sudden, I just drew a blank on what it's called, but it starts with a C. I can't remember right now what it is. But yeah, he's been involved in he calls it the hospitality industry for years. And the first time I heard him speak was at a Global Leadership Summit a few years ago. So he presented a bit of these principles. And, obviously you think about, I believe it was last week, we talked about the difference between leaders and managers and how they function when they're doing their job. And so speaking to a group like the Global Leadership Summit, he's an excellent guy to be able to do that.
He
tell
is.
his stories. Yeah.
And it's along the lines of servant leadership, as I've alluded to, the way I was feeling this morning when we were going through this particular chapter was his leadership style is calling people to peace, not calling them to war.
Yeah.
And our human nature and our humanness and sinful human nature is to, I'm going to dig in. I'm self-righteous, but I wouldn't say that. See, look how noble I am.
Yeah.
But I'm right here, and no, you know, I'm a man. I'm gonna make this happen. You know, and even if you're right, in principle, the tactics that we, you know, draw upon is so important, because nobody wants to be controlled. Nobody likes a self-righteous, you know, person and encounters like that. And so if we're getting that kind of response from, you know, even more than one person, then you start having to go, well, it's about, it's me. I'm the problem. I keep following myself around and getting into these situations, and I need to call people to peace. Let's start with that, even if we don't agree. So we had today's chapter was.
I thought maybe I'd get out the one of the things we've done, which is different. We haven't done this before. We're listening to the audio version of the book because the chapters are relatively short, and we can do it that way and then have discussion following. And the voice in the audio is not Horst himself, but it is a German guy with a German accent.
Oh, okay.
So it can be a little challenging at times. Some of the words don't. You wonder what did you just say, because it's a little different in German, or when somebody's got a German accent. But the chapter today was chapter 10, and it's called Bridging the Gulf Between Management and Labor. And a big part of what this chapter focuses on, and he tells a fairly long story about an experience that he had. And he mentions Hilton at the time, so I think this may have been his first experience was when working for Hilton Hotels, and a labor union, and the interactions that he had with the labor union, and how difficult and challenging that can be. And you know, I think I mentioned, maybe it was in the last episode, we were just talking about the difference between highly effective leaders. Tends to be the difference between pride and humility. And humble leaders seem to be far more effective in their leadership, and their businesses, their organizations tend to succeed better. In fact, you might want to keep this in mind if you haven't already thought about it. We've got a great author and speaker here in town, Josh Wymore.
Yes.
And Josh has written a book called Humbler Leadership that would be an excellent thing to talk about a little bit.
I would have him on the show.
Yeah. And Josh actually
worked with
came
him.
and he spoke at NCS one time and told his personal story. But I think the thing about this chapter and really the book as a whole is the motto of Ritz-Carlton, and Capella is the other company that they started that owns a number of hotels. And both of them have the same motto, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. And I think that is so important to think in those terms, you know. Just the way you greet people is so important. And there's a story in the book about Horst speaking to the leadership of Chick-fil-A. And most of us, if you've ever been to a Chick-fil-A, you know, and I think Culver's does the same thing, where they will say, if you say thank you they'll say my pleasure. That's just a common theme of what they do. And Horst was speaking to them and he said, I want you to understand that when you greet somebody that walks into your restaurant or walks into your hotel, don't just say, hey, what's going on? That kind of a thing. But welcome them as a ladies and gentlemen type person serving ladies and gentlemen. Greet them, and you can choose whatever fits best with your culture. But he tells an excellent story in this chapter that we talked about today about the confrontation that he had with the union. And as I'm reading and listening to that, I'm just thinking, boy, this relates so well to my own experience. I talked about the fact that I led a international joint venture company for General Electric, and we partnered with Bosch from Germany. And we launched the business in Hendersonville, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, in a facility that had been 20 years non-union. And GE at the time was going through a somewhat difficult time with their unions all over the country. And they had actually negotiated a reduction in pay that the union agreed to. So we were told when we started the joint venture company, you're going to have to implement that same thing in this new business that you're starting, because you are part of General Electric as well. And so, you're the management team and you're having to explain this to people. And our only customer was Ford Motor Company. And Ford had been making these motors themselves, and we took over that contract to produce them a different style of motor, a much more new technology motor, highly automated production process. We took over a factory that was making 80 motors a week, very large motors, and started producing 80,000 motors a week. And
what?
And so the trade union, actually it was the Teamsters in Detroit, where they were producing these motors, decided they wanted to be sure that this facility was unionized. And so one of the very first things we had to deal with as we started to launch this business was this union. And the negotiations and all of that was extremely difficult. And I honestly look at it just much like that joke that I was saying. I didn't handle it the best way. There were a lot of confrontations that did not go well. And I think I could have learned a lot from what was in this book. And I see that every day. I go into a restaurant or I go into some place and I'm constantly thinking about, what if we did things this way? What if this restaurant did things this way? Wouldn't it be so much better? Wouldn't the experience for the customers be so much better? And can we do that in our churches? Can we do that in our families? Treat each other the way God wants us to treat one another, as human beings created by Him in His image, loving each other in that way. So,
not obstacles, not things that are in my way as I'm going about what I'm doing, what I'm thinking
right.
I need to be doing.
Yeah.
It's always a mistake to treat people like things.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And that was what's one of the underlying themes of the Anatomy of Peace. And I think it's also in this book an attitude, a manner, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That sums it all up, man.
Yeah.
We should serve. Let's serve in a respectful way
Right.
to whoever. There's a lot of stuff in this book. If you're, no matter who you are, you could benefit from the attitudes, but especially the, leadership.
Yeah.
To be effective, you need to have an attitude of calling people to peace, setting them at ease, listening, you know, to and using the language of reconciliation, asking forgiveness, because we all screw up. I watched Reagan here recently, that movie. That I thought it was really well done. And I remember when the Iran-Contra trial or whatever, and where he denied that they traded arms for hostages, and it wasn't true. And he got on national TV and he admitted it.
It doesn't happen very much.
But what a great leader he was. So we need to wrap this up pretty soon. But any final words about?
I think there's one key thing that we haven't talked about that was in the book, and that is, how do you train employees, particularly helping them to understand who you are and what you're all about. And some of the concepts that he uses here can be helpful in our families too. Because we were talking about that a little bit earlier, is do we allow the schools or the culture to really teach our kids what's most important? And
That's right.
so I don't know if you want to talk about it now or in the next episode, but we can go into a little bit on what does that look like when you've got a business and you're bringing in a bunch of new employees. How are you going to get them to understand what this company is all about? What is our culture all about? How do we win with excellence? How do we do that? So.
Win. Let's go for the win-win.
Yes.
You know, so we will make that the next thing we'll tackle in the next episode, and I haven't told you yet what the BS in the modern age is about, and I hope you'll be surprised pleasantly. So we're going to keep you in suspense, and we're going to tell you about that in the next episode also. So I'm Dave Nelson, your host for Cat in a Dog's World, BS in the Modern Age, and we've been talking with Gary Martin. Thanks so much for being here and making time for us today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it too.
We'll see you in
Go right on past me if you want to. I know you need something new. Those pixels have some value, but your feet won't feed you true. You've been searching all night long. Aren't you tired?